Now to protests and many questions over the deadly police shooting of a black man in North Carolina. The family of Andrew Brown Jr. is expected to see the body cam video of the shooting today, yet few details have been released about his death. The 42-year-old was killed by sheriff's deputies when they tried to serve him with an arrest warrant last Wednesday. He was unarmed, and according to dispatch audio from that day, first responders said a man had gunshot wounds to his back. Over the weekend, his family and community leaders called on police to release the footage to the public. I want to talk now with Bishop William Barber, who was with the Brown family this weekend. Sir, thank you so much for being with us. This is an incredibly difficult time, the most difficult time that this family has ever gone through, I'm sure. How are they doing? And do you know if they will definitely be able to see this body cam footage today that they expected to see last week?
Well, you know, this is hard. It's hard on the family. It's hard on the community. This is the second questionable police killing I've dealt with in the last 3 weeks since the Chauvin trial, Donovan Lynch in Virginia, no body camera. And now Andrew Brown, where the authorities are not releasing the tapes. As you said, the reports are that he was shot in the back, 42 years old. He's a son, he's a nephew, he's a cousin. 7 children, 5 minor children, a human being with no history of violence. And then on top of that, in the country, we've had teenagers shot, killed since the Chauvin trial. The family's hurting. And what people are saying is they need accountability. A warrant is not a license to kill, even if the suspect drives away. A warrant does not even mean a person is guilty. A warrant is not permission to execute on the scene, possibly with assault rifles and multiple times. That's all of the questions. So what we understand from the council is that the family, after all these days, after over 5 days of pushing and the sheriff and DA refusing to do it, that hopefully this morning, the family and their council will get to see the tapes. And what they say is we can handle the truth. What they can't handle is the silence. What they can't handle is the blockade. What they can't handle is the refusal. Because
then people are looking at what they do know without being able to see it, and they're wondering what is on those tapes, and they'll answer those questions themselves. I mean, right now what we do know is this. We know that he was shot in the back. We know that there were many body cameras worn. Authorities did not find any drugs or weapons, they say, in his car or his house, despite the fact that this was related to felony drug warrant. And that 7 deputies, 7, have been placed on leave, 2 have resigned, and 1 has retired just in the wake of the shooting. And we don't know how many shots were fired. What is your fear about what we're going to learn from this video?
Well, our fear is, first of all, the whole piece about questioning that him being shot in the back. The whole issue of the way they went for this one young man that had no a history of violence. One of the local reporters asked in the press conference we had the other day, did you all know that a SWAT-like team went there? And we said, what? We didn't even know that. And so people are questioning what in the world is going on. You know, people, black people, just like everybody else, are innocent until proven guilty. And when we challenge and call for the truth and transparency, it's not hating the police, it's hating and not liking double standards. I raised at the press conference an article that News One had done last year that showed how 8 white people, men, who were some of them mass murderers, some of them who resisted arrest, all got arrested. You know, Dalen Roof, when he murdered people in South Carolina, got arrested. Some say he even got a hamburger. But when black men can't even get arrested, and when an air freshener leads to death, when a warrant leads to death, when selling cigarettes leads to death, people are just tired of it. And there are witnesses that were there that are saying this was a bad shoot, that this was a shooter in the back. But we need to know, you know, and yesterday, the day before yesterday, the sheriff came out, said he was waiting on the SBI, and the SBI said, no, they're not waiting on us. The governor, who was the former attorney general, 2 terms, has said, release the tape. The current attorney general has said, release the tapes, release the tapes. That's how we will know what exactly happened. And then what we have to do is make sure, now, because you remember the case, other case in the South, and this is the South, Michael Slager down in North Charleston, South Carolina, it took federal civil rights charges to put him behind bars. And even though there was a video of Walter Scott being shot in the back. So what we've got to have, and what people are saying is, when and if police murder people, we need accountability, we need arrests, we need prosecution without immunity, we need prison, we need payment where it doesn't come from insurance companies, but it comes out of these police departments and out of their pensions. And we need federal laws, federal civil rights laws that guarantee these prosecutions.
And maybe there needs to be as well some more agreement about the glaring problem. Lastly, here, the Senator Lindsey Graham over the weekend was asked about systemic racism in policing in the U.S., and this is what he said.
Senator, is there systemic racism in this country in policing and in other institutions?
No, not in my opinion. We just elected a two-term African-American president. The vice president is of African-American Indian descent. So our systems are not racist. America is not a racist country. Within every society, you have bad actors. Reform the police, yes. Call them all racist, no.
What is your reaction to that?
That is absolutely ridiculous. First of all, there were people that got elected even during the days of Jim Crow. That's a line that Republicans use. The system is, in fact, broken. Number one, it's happening too often. Number two, we see all of these settlements and insurance settlements in court where people are paying for wrongful death. Number three, we are having more and more trials that are proving it. The system is broken. Look at how much we have seen just since Chauvin. This notion by Republicans that there's no systemic racism. Remember, these are strong Thurman Jesse Ham Republicans. They're descendants. And that is always their go-to. They say there's no racism when there's racism in voter suppression. They say there's no racism when we see all of these problems in police killing. The data is there. It's empirical. It's a real problem. America must face this problem. We can't keep denying this problem. It is wrong for someone like Lindsey Graham, who had someone shot in his state, in the back, on camera, all over a broken taillight. And if it had not been for federal laws, because the state of South Carolina did not prosecute, he would not have been prosecuted. And even in the case of Chauvin, this is how you know that it's systematic racism. If it hadn't been for that young lady with the video, if it hadn't been for the millions that marched, if it hadn't been for Keith Ellison, if it hadn't been for calling a prosecutor out of retirement, if it hadn't been for bringing the best experts, then Chauvin would have gotten off. Yes, there is very real systemic racism in this country, and it must be dealt with. Lindsey Graham, Republicans who say that are wrong, the protesters, the preachers, and the politicians that know better, that say that is right, and Americans know it, and we need to fix it, and we need to fix it because this is too much death, too many times, too often, and too many families destroyed. Police are to protect and serve. We support that. But they are not to deliver dead or alive. They are not supposed to kill on the spot. They are not supposed to be executioners, and we can never settle for that.
Bishop William Barber, thank you for being with us. We'll be awaiting this news if the family does actually get to see that video. Thanks for being with us.
God bless you.